Okay, so we will first talk about is M1. Okay, so now it is also known as narrow money. Okay, and M1 is equal to, like, all the cash plus DD, okay, plus overdraft. Okay, so that is like, all the currency, okay, with the public. Okay, so this is the direct cash. The immediate cash which you have is called as M1. So whatever money you have is narrow money. Why is it called narrow money? Because you have the money rightly available. So you, like, you have cash in your hand, you have overdraft, you have DD, demand draft, which is also, when you have money you can definitely, use it whenever you want to. Okay, now coming to the next one, as I said, we'll talk about is M2. Now what is M2? So M2 is equal to M1, whatever the money which you have readily available, the narrow money, plus savings deposits. So whichever money you have in the bank and savings deposits with the post office, okay, and savings banks. Okay, so now M2 is like, so M1 is something which is distinguished from M2. The only thing is, because M1 is narrow money and little bit broader than M1 is M2, because you have to go to the bank or you have to go to the post office to remove the money. The immediate money which you have in your hand, that is called as M1. So that is a small difference between M1 and M2. So M1 is the ready available money because it's narrow money, so you can anytime grab it, it's in your hand. Okay, so you need not go anywhere. But whereas in M2 you have to go to the banks or you have to go to the post office to remove the money from the bank. So it will take little bit of time. Now I'll just wrap this. We'll talk about is M3. Okay, so I'll talk about M3. Now M3 is called as M1 plus. So these formulas are very important. So remember this. M1 plus time deposits with the bank. Okay, now what is time deposit? Let me write down here. Time deposits serve as a store of wealth and represent a saving of the people and are not as liquid. So liquid cash is M1 because you have immediate money. What do you mean liquid? You can just now have the money which is in your hand at your disposal, that is called as liquid money. So it is not as liquid as they cannot be withdrawn through checks or ATMs as compared to money deposited in demand deposits. Okay, so this is very important, so you have to remember. So M3 is equal to M1 plus time deposits with the bank, so it can be like fixed deposit and all, and they cannot be withdrawn through checks or ATMs as compared to money deposited in demand deposit. So what is happening, if you see from left to right, it is becoming from narrow, it's slowly becoming much broader and broader and broader. So what do you mean by broader? That means it will take a lot of time for you to remove your own money. Okay, so when the it's like a passing phase. So when you like, it's taking huge time of you have, it is your own money, but it will take time for you to withdraw the money, so it is called as broad money. So narrow money means immediate cash, just now you want, so that becomes is your narrow money. So that is why M1, M2, M3. Now we will talk about is M4. So just let me wrap this. Okay, so now I'll talk about is M4. Okay. So this you have to remember, and you have to be very clear of what you are understanding, what is narrow money and broad money. Okay, so now obviously this is M4. So M4 is the last part of the money, and it is called also as broad money. Okay, so M4 is equal to M3 plus total deposits with post office for a long time. Okay, or savings organizations. Okay, now M4, remember this, however, excludes national, please remember this, national savings certificates or postal savings certificates of post office. So when you're talking about national savings certificate, that is not there. Only M4 is something which is the fixed deposit for 5 years, 10 years, which is there in the savings or it is in the post office. Then only. So mostly the money which is kept in the post office for a long period of time is called as M4. So now I hope you have understood that, M4 is broad money and M1 is, narrow money. So which is the most popular among the, customers or the consumers? So let us just see this. So let me rub this also. Okay. So among M1, M2, M3, M4, M3 is the most popular and essential measure of the money supply. The monetary, now this is an information which I want you to read, so I'm writing it down. The monetary committee, okay, which was headed by late Professor Sukamoy Chakravarti, recommended its use for monetary planning in the economy. So you can imagine that M3 is so important. Okay, so M3 is also given a new name. So M3 is also called as aggregate monetary resource. Okay, so as I said, M3 is the, if you talk about M3, it is like, M1 plus time deposit. So you are keeping the money for within a time. It can be 1 year, it can be 2 years, it can be 3 years, it can be 5 years. So FD plus whatever savings you have. So as I said, M3 is the most popular and essential measure of the money supply, and that is why the monetary committee headed by late Professor Sukumar Chakravarti recommended its use for monetary planning. So Sukumar Chakravarti thought that in the economy, it is very important, and most of the people, they keep the banks for as a fixed deposit. And now also, if you see that, in India, it is more of traditional people hardly keep their money in the stock exchange. All, keep their money for FDs and, in the bank. So fixed deposit is a very important tool for, keeping savings. So to run the show or to move the economy, or for when you are planning for doing a monetary planning, so Professor Shukumar Chakravarti thought that, M3 is the most popular among M1 and M4 and M2, and that is why he thought that, we have to use M3 as when we are, using it for as a monetary planning in the economy. And that is why he gave a name called as aggregate monetary resource. Okay, so that is why M3 is so popular. And looking at this also, you can understand that, why it is so popular, because of this only. Okay, now coming to the next section of the chapter. Okay, so we will talk about the next chapter. So let me write down here. The next same chapter only, the subheading. So next about, because we are again talking about monetary policy only, very very important point. So monetary policy agreement. So these are the various sections which you have to remember when you are preparing your UPSC exams. Okay, so monetary policy agreement. Okay, so what is monetary policy agreement? Okay, so let me write down in points. So the first one, in 2015, so this is a very new agreement. Okay, the government of India and RBI of India signed a monetary policy framework agreement. So I repeat, in 2015, the Government of India and RBI of India signed a monetary policy framework agreement. Okay, now the new monetary policy framework was formed following the recommendations of a committee headed by RBI. Now everybody is very familiar to this governor because 2015 is not very old. Okay, it was headed by RBI Deputy Governor Urjit Patel. So they ask you a lot of questions on the governor of RBI. So you need to study a lot at the time of current affairs also. Okay, so let's just read slowly. So as you see on the screen, so in 2015, the Government of India and RBI of India, they together signed a monetary policy framework. So it was an agreement. Okay, and what is this new monetary policy framework? It was formed following the recommendation. Somebody had given recommendation that we need an agreement, and this committee was headed by RBI Deputy Governor Urjit Patel. Okay, so this is the first point. So what was the objective? Let's see. Okay, so the second point, the objective of monetary policy framework is to primarily maintain price stability while keeping in mind the objective of growth. Okay, so the objective of monetary policy framework is to primarily maintain the price stability